This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hello there, everyone. I'm Cameron Harris, and welcome to In Range number 11. Now, keeping with our theme over the last couple episodes of dealing with the gear that helps you manage your diabetes, today we're going to be talking about traveling with all that stuff. Now, it doesn't matter if it's an overnight trip or a week-long vacation, the basic rules still apply. Now, of course, there's the obvious stuff like always take extra supplies. And again, as I've said before, take way more supplies than you think you could possibly need. Here's a good example of why. I recently took a 3-day trip with my dad. And during that 3-day trip, I had to do just one set change for my pump. So theoretically, I would only need to go through one set of infusion sets. Well, it turned out that that one set change actually took 4 sets because the first 3 just didn't stick properly. So always take extras. So this is the bag that I use whenever I travel. It's just a small duffel bag, nothing really too special about it. I always try to keep all of my stuff in this bag and this bag only, not spread out throughout my entire luggage. And always use this bag as carry-on with you. Never check this. You don't want this to ever leave your sight because you don't really want to lose this thing. Speaking of airplanes, I've always had very good experiences going through security. It doesn't matter if I've been just flying a couple cities over or outside the country. It's always been really good. Always be upfront with them. Always tell them, as soon as you get in front of the security line, always tell them you're a diabetic and that these are your supplies in here. If you're wearing a pump or medical alert bracelet, chances are you're going to set off the metal detector. You sometimes don't, but if you do, they may want to wand you just to be safe. If that's the case, you just go over, they run the wand over you, you come clean, you go out, you're always very upfront, be honest, and it just works out really great every time. Now, apart from just your everyday supplies, which of course you want to have with you, there are a couple of specialty things that you're going to want to take, and most of that is actually just paperwork, like this stuff right here. The first thing you're going to want to have, and this is mostly for security, is just copies of your prescriptions. So for your test strips and your insulin and everything like that, make sure you have copies of those with you. They may want to see those. Also, if you're on a pump, take your manual, because sometimes pumps will give these bizarre error 104 messages or whatever, and you need to have the manual to figure out what exactly that means. Also, you want to make sure you have a letter from your doctor that just kind of explains your whole situation, just kind of makes it more official. And also, this is a big one that most people don't really think about. Write down all of your most current carb to insulin ratios as well as your basal rates if you're on a pump, because all that information is stored just on the pump, and if your pump goes down, that information goes down along with it. So you always want to make sure you have a hard copy of this just in case you need it. Now, something else you're going to always want to travel with, because they're a little bit tricky to find elsewhere, are keto sticks, because chances are you might need them, particularly if you're on a pump, and you just want to make sure you have those on hand. If you do run out of anything, or you forget your bag, or you lose it or something like that, don't panic, and remember you can always go to a nearby pharmacy or hospital to get help. And also have contact information for your entire diabetes team back home in case you do need their help. I personally am affiliated with a hospital in my area, and what I can do is if I do run into a thing where I need to ask them a question or call them up about an emergency or something like that, I can just call the endocrinologist that they have on call 24/7, which works out just perfectly. Now, I know that traveling with diabetes can seem a little bit daunting with all this stuff you have to get together, but don't worry, after a couple trips, it really just becomes completely second nature. So I hope you found this episode useful. Be sure to visit our website. Not only will we have show notes for this episode as well as our forums, but we will have a downloadable checklist of all this stuff that you need to pack. That can really be helpful when you first start packing. And also, be sure to send us an email if you have any questions or comments for the show at harwoodpodcast@comcast.net. I'll catch you guys later, and good luck staying in range.